we can show that these kids that they can produce work here, and they can have a gallery opening. They can experience these things that are important and critical in your development as a young artist. So I'm definitely interested in connecting with schools, and that's something that is on the top of my list. With specific programming, I think that there's some catalog programs that we have here that need a better story told rather than a complete renovation. And so the Music Lounge is our concert series that we host here quarterly, getting folks here to create and be together and commune. We also have an intro mixer, a mixer series where we get artists together and collaborate and fly folks in to have some master classes and whatnot. And so in that vein, what I believe this institution's purpose is to be an incubator, is to grow and develop young artists who are curious and exploring the African diaspora. And so that curiosity is what I am hoping to lean into for children, is giving them the space to be curious, teaching them how to be curious. Some folks are afraid of being curious and trying. One of my favorite things to talk about is providing people the opportunity to fail gloriously, like to strive so hard, and to keep and providing that space, what it feels like that you're in a space that you're capable of trying something and not succeeding, and then figuring out how to do it again and keep going at it. So that's what I believe this space is meant to be and what I'm supposed to serve. And so we're really going to be focusing on education of not just kids, but of the entire community. Hosting more authors and conversations with the community. We'll have quite a bit of that coming in, as well as some smaller things with story times and childhood development that we'll be bringing on. So education and artist incubation are really what I'm looking forward to helping pave that path.
Okay. I'm trying to get the theater open to start. No. I know we've talked about it. I don't know if I shared just like all that is in this space, because now that the space is under construction, I don't think a lot of people know all that's in this container at MOK and SM Ray. There's a 1,000-seat concert hall, a 200-seat studio theater. There is a 13,000 square foot maker space that has a podcast studio, recording studio, media lab, an immersive video art studio soundstage. There's green space, meeting space. There's a kitchen. There's bars. It's a lot of space. And I'm grateful for the Forest Forward team for all the work to both fundraise, but also to just imagine that we need that type of space. And I'm going to be spending the next year collaborating with both community members and the leadership team to really figure out, how do we fill this space? How do we fill this space to close gaps that may exist in the performance space? How do we use this space in a way that builds an ecosystem so that dollars stay within our community? We're building skills of folks in community, and we're able to use the space in order to activate that. I have dreams about, there's a play, The Color Museum, and it's a series of vignettes by George C. Wolfe. The last vignette is called The Party. I don't know, are you familiar with this? It's basically this party where this woman is at, and she sees Fats Waller, she sees Duke Ellington, she sees Aunt Jemima in the kitchen cooking. When I think about our programming, I think about a space where artists and community members are just filling the space, going to see multidisciplinary work from dance, theater to film, to being a part of dynamic talks, doing dynamic demonstrations. I could see people dancing in the halls while getting coffee to talk about their next big creative project. Um, yeah, how do I create a container where the art on stage is inspiring people to actually create? And how do we create a space where people can just come out, hang out, and be creative? Um, uh, I'm excited to feel that. Don't expect to do it alone.
I am so excited for both of you. I really am. I am just grateful for this time. Well, the African American Museum is 38,000 square feet,
Yeah.
3 floors. I have every morning that I walk in the building, I walk the entire 38,000 square feet. I get chills when I go in there. Our programming, I'm really interested in getting children into the museum. And so that's going to be one of our focuses, is to get younger people into the museum, into their museum. We have an entire educational suite downstairs in the basement area. We're renovating that, putting some new paint on the walls. We have an auditorium. We have a literary series. I'm very excited to say that in the last, this summer, we were given a grant that focused on our conservation work.
Yeah.
And which is huge.
It's important.
It's not just to conserve and preserve, but if we're going to move forward for the future, we have to understand how important that is. This past summer, we brought in both high school and college students from the HBCUs to learn about conservation work. The exhibit that we have, Mr. Imagination, is probably the only exhibit in the country that also has a conservation lab in the back of the exhibit, so that our visitors can see in real time what the science is behind conservation work. This is important because it allows students to see that that could be a career path for them.
Yeah.
We gotta talk. We gotta talk to you because uh, I'm excited to hear and learn. And Vince already knows this. Like, I've been asking, like, okay, how do I fit into this puzzle so that we are maximizing the opportunities and also being coordinated? One of the questions I asked early on coming into this role is there a table of the Black art and cultural institutions? And we're here.
Right here,
Here's the
right,
table.
right now.
Yeah.
I have a huge appetite for that. I right now what I've deemed the DISD walls, the outside of the exhibition space, those are all artists from Billy Dade. So those are young artists that Ms. Gunter comes over and hangs their art. And I asked her, I was like, well, where are the other schools? And so connecting with those other teachers and getting into the institutions, so that we can show that these kids that they can produce work here, and they can have a gallery opening. They can experience these things that are important and critical in your development as a young artist. So I'm definitely interested in connecting with schools, and that's something that is on the top of my list.
I mean, I think a lot about how the art came to me when I was a teen. And I've spoken to a couple of the teachers at both Lincoln and Madison, and just really trying to understand today's teen in relationship to storytelling, being able to be in conversation with stories, being able to be in conversation with others. And while I was in Chicago, I was at Steppenwolf Theater Company, and they have a really robust Page to Stage program specifically dedicated to teens. So we'd choose a book. That book would be adapted and performed and presented on the stage, and there'd be a series of programming across discipline to actually have young people be in conversation with this piece. From them doing parties and gatherings to book club readings to workshops. And I'm not 100% sure that is what we'll do, but what I do know is there is a gap there for stories from the Black experience, both for teens and for younger people. So I am curious how to use the work on stage to really interact with teens and high school students, both in the making, but also in the receiving and in just the overall conversation. It's something that impacted how I'm able to show up today. And if I had any offerings, I feel like that's important because they'll be our next patrons and, next audience members and next, cohort of artists. So
I'm looking to hear from our youth, and that's one of the goals I have in the next 60 days is to really go to the schools and listen to them to hear what is it that you want in a museum. Do you know what the museum has for you? Do you know what we offer? How can we make it better? What will bring you into the museum? What are your needs? And meet them where they are. I've been on a listening tour for the last 45 days. And one of the missing links is the youth. I'm very interested because they're our future. To hear what is it that will spark your imagination about walking through this sacred place. So that's my next move. One of the things that we did do, our summer program is robust. So what the operations manager did, she said, let's take the museum to them and it's not a pop-up, it's a little bit more than a pop-up, but they had the lessons and the education, and they were very engaged in the process of creating art. So that was something that was really good, and I'm looking to do that again next year.
can I come to that visit with you?
You may. You
'Cause I
absolutely
think you're
may.
right. Like, young people are changing so rapidly. It doesn't hurt to be responsive in that way. Yeah, actually, I would.
We need to set that up. And I think what I'm hearing is that a lot of young people don't feel that they are being heard, that they're not included, but I'm over here doing my thing. You can't hear me. So I think we have to be intentional about it.
And there are ways in which I know that I've experienced before by building a young adult council, building some representation to be able to really
Exactly.
more structurally hear from them more often. Which actually, as we sit here, I'm like, oh, that actually may be a good thing for us all to collaborate on because they can help inform a lot of what we do. Yeah, absolutely.